welcome you all to Trek Wars. Alright, so today we're going to be looking at the Dominion forces. This will include the Bree, the Dominion obviously, and the Cardassaion forces. We're going to treat them as one empire, and we're going to do the same thing we did with the Klingons, and we're going to do the same thing we did with the Federation. With that being said, let's get started. Now, a large portion of these ships are going to be Cardassaion, so we'll talk about some of the Cardassaion spiral wave technology and why it's here before we get started. So spiral wave technology is kind of something that took off in the Cardassaion space because they don't really have a lot of materials that are made for making torpedoes. So in order to compensate for this, they have changed different kinds of technology. So spiral wave technology, a standard spiral wave disruptor is 7,500. The most common spiral wave heavy weapon, the spiral wave disruptor cannon that you see on every single Galor, is at minimum 65,000. And that is the same as a Type X phaser. Now, the Dominion does upgrade the Galor during the Dominion War battles, and so a spiral wave disruptor cannon in the middle of the war is hitting for 168,750. And at the very, very end of the Dominion War, there is an upgraded spiral wave disruptor cannon which is hitting for 650,000. So at 650,000, that is siege level, or that is siege level power output. All right, so with that, so let's just kind of look at this. So the spiral wave disruptor can fire 13 times, so that's 97,500. The medium spiral wave disruptor cannon is 32,500, can fire 3 times, so that's 97,500. And then we see the Cardassaion Galor ones are shooting 65,000, which is Type X phaser quality, 9 times, so that's 585,000. And then there are other versions that are doing 12 shots, which is 780,000. So when you look at these, remember, there's always a spiral wave disruptor cannon, which is the primary weapon, is in front of all the Cardassaion ships. And so when you look at their stats, they're going to look weaker than what they are, but they actually are stronger than you would think, because at 65,000 terawatts of damage, that's a really high-level weapon that they're using. Now, I will admit, Cardassaions are very lacking in shield technology, and you'll kind of see that. And they are technologically less advanced than their counterparts. Now, we'll also be talking about the spiral wave technology, and then we'll be talking on polar-ion beam weapons. So that's what the Dominion used. It passes through shields and stuff. So just so you guys understand, a polar-ion beam is going to hit for 65,000 terawatts of damage. There are other polar-ion beams that are on the cruiser, which are hitting for like 375,500, something along those lines. So for the most part, remember that these weapons are stronger than they appear, because remember, this ship can fire 15 times. So firing 65,000 terawatts of damage 15 times is a huge volley load. So take that into consideration. It's kind of like the Klingons, where, you know, there's not as many mounted weapons, but they are sophisticated and powerful. All right, so destroyers have a completely and utterly different format than any of the races. Destroyers in the Dominion are designed to have full combat potential. So they are going to have to hit really, really hard, and they're really small. So the first on this list is the Cardassaion Hideki class. This is a newer Cardassaion technology, which has an attack value of 62,500, shields 260,000, has a hull of 130,000, has a full defense of 390,000. So this ship is extremely weak. It's like a patrol ship. It's only designed to protect Galors from fighters and smaller craft. There's theories about it being an anti-torpedo frigate. It means it can target torpedoes coming in and destroy them. This ship is really only useful in pairs to protect Galors and other large ships. It has a medium spiral wave disruptor cannon, which is its main weapon. The ship overall isn't really that great. It does use bubble technology, so with the ships, its full shield is 260,000. A lot of Cardassaion ships are using shields that are actually migrating in certain sections. So there's like 4 shield generators around the ship. This Cardassaion is using more of a Federation type bubble shield. Next on our list is what I refer to as the Dominion Scout, which has an attack value of 42,500, has shields of 325,000 and a hull value of 195,000. So this is the ship that was seen destroying and running into the Odyssey. Well, the reason we know this ship is different than the other Jem'Hadar fighters is it had different weapons. Instead of being straight beams, it was sending like these lower quality like pulse beams that were still polaron beams and passing through shields. But I call this the Scout because this is deep in Dominion space. This is the first ship. It might even be an older version. We don't really know. It has a rear mounted turret that shoots at ships. It's like 10,000. And then it has one forward-facing disruptor. And when I say disruptor, it's hitting for like 32,005, which is the same as the disruptor. It's a polaron beam disruptor. So it's a lower quality Dominion ship, and we really only see it, I believe, in this first encounter. All right, and next on our list is what I call the Alpha Quadrant Jem'Hadar fighter. So this is the mass-produced Jem'Hadar fighter. Has an attack value of 195,000. It's the only thing that's different from the previous one. This one can fire 15 shots. It's hitting for the same firepower as the Galaxy-class starship. This ship is extremely dangerous in groups. Not really a whole lot more I can say about it. This ship is what we see 90% of the time fighting. It doesn't have torpedoes. It doesn't have anything really on it. This is just a mass production version. And I don't believe it even has the rear turret. All right, now here's an upgraded version of the Jem'Hadar fighter. I call it the Defender. These are not their actual names. These are just basically what it does. So this one is a more defensive version, which has an attack value of 431,000. So this one has a torpedo tube, which is standard. It has the 3 polaron beam weapons, and then it has the rear turret. So this ship is more powerful than the previous ones, and then this one is pretty much what we see in Dominion space. So that's why I call it the Defender, because we don't really see them using torpedoes except for some of the episodes when they were first engaging the Dominion in their own territory. These are the ships that attacked the Defiant and took it over. So next in the category are going to be frigates. And so in order to be a frigate in this category, basically you have to be a full combat cruiser that can carry troops. That's really the only thing that makes you a frigate in the Dominion forces. So the first frigate on our class is the Galor Class 1 Type 1, seen in the Federation Wars. So it has an attack value of 125,000, shield 780,000, armor 1,235,000, a full defense of 2,015,000. So Cardassaion ships have really poor shielding. The 780,000 shielding looks better than what it actually is. So we know that after 260,000 terawatts of damage from the Type X phasers, it completely collapsed the shields on this ship. So we know that the ship is using different shield modules. So there's one in the back, there's one in the front, and there's 2 on the sides. So there's 4 shield generators basically on the ship, and they're low level. So they're around 195 to maybe 260 at the best. So that's why these ships are armored so well. So if you look at the mass ratio to hull size, you can see that this is 1/3 the weight of a Galaxy class, and it's got hull strength that is almost the same, well actually slightly better than a Galaxy class. It's because in order to compensate for the poor shielding, Cardassaion ships have really strong hulls. All right, so the next one is another Galor Class 1 Type 1. The only difference with this one is instead of an attack value is 155,000. And so basically this has an additional spire wave weapons on it. So instead of having 8, it has 12 backup small spire wave disruptors. So it just gives it a slight increase. But it's pretty much exactly the same ship. All right, so the next one on our list is the Galor Type 2. So the Galor Type 2 has an attack value of 190,000, and it's got all the same stats as the previous ship. The only difference between the Galor Type 2 is it's got better targeting sensors, better sensors, its warp drive is better. It's basically a more modern ship that's more in line with some of the other great powers. The Galor 1 is behind in every other aspect. The Galor Type 2 is just a modification, and the Galor 2 does have a functioning photon torpedo tube. Okay, so for the Dominion, in order to be a cruiser, the specification is you have to be at least big enough or strong enough to take on another cruiser one-on-one. All right, so now we're going to be looking at cruisers. Now, what I'm going to consider as a light cruiser is the Galor Type 3. Basically, what this is this is the Cardassaion pre-Dominion's attempt to catch up with the Federation starships. So they have an attack value of 195,000. They have shields of 1,733,333. Has a hull value of 1,235,000. Has a total value of 2,968,333. So it doesn't look like it, but this ship can actually take on a lot of ships and cruisers in its category and come up on top, as long as it's being able to attack them from head on. So with shields like this, and this is the same type of shielding that we'd see in the next ship, which would be the Kelton. This shielding is giving them the opportunity to stay in the fight, and it's protecting that spiral wave disruptor cannon in the front, which is their primary weapon. If the Cardassaions lose that, their ships drastically drop in performance because they don't have strong secondary weapons. They are very dependent on their single weapon. So Cardassaion ships, honestly, that's kind of why this is considered a light cruiser, because yes, this has got a lot of shielding and it looks like it's got good stats, and it does, but if you do lose that weapon, you're in big trouble. So the Galor Type 2 Dominion upgrade is the next ship on the list. I'm also considering it a light cruiser. Has an attack value of 293,750, shields 780,000, hull value 1,235,000, and a total of 2,015,000. So the stats are pretty much identical except for the upgraded weaponry and sensors of the previous Galor Type 2. Now, the reason it's going to be on a higher level than the other one, which has so much better shielding, is simply because the weapon on here can fire something like 5 times, and it's in like almost 170,000 terawatts of damage. So it's just bringing a massive amount of offensive capabilities to the fleet, and honestly, it's more effective in a combat situation because it can destroy ships right out really quickly, more so than a Galor. A Galor still got to fire. It can last much longer, but it just doesn't have that firing potential that this ship does. So next on the list is the Bree warship. Has an attack value of 472,000, shields 780,000, hull value 520,000, a defense of 1,300,000. So this does, at when you first glance, it seems that it does have a bubble shield, which is superior than even the Galor's shield. The hull is not particularly great. The reason why this ship is being at such a higher level than the previous ships is, one, its speed. It does have good weaponry aboard, but its speed and maneuverability puts this ship at a higher category than those other ships. Those other ships are extremely slow. They're basically tugs. But the Bree ship is straight up fast, maneuverable, good weaponry, good shielding, decent armor, and it's all around a good ship. This ship's sensors, this ship has the ability to cloak. It also can be modified with the energy dampening field. There's all kinds of specialty tricks and stuff the ship can use, so that's why it's at a higher level than the other ships. Now, next on the list is the Kelton class Cardassaion pre-Dominion. Has an attack value of 315,000, shields 1,733,333, hull value 1,651,851 for a full defense of 3,933,033. So this ship is getting higher onto the list, obviously, because it does have some additional firepower than the Type 3. It's got everything the Type 3 has and more. It can carry more troops. It's got better sensors. It's got better targeting systems. Its warp speed is better than the Galor's. The ship is basically a Galor with some upgrades, making it more modernized. So this Galor class ship could probably take on most Federation starship cruisers on its own and then end up on top. It would struggle with anything that's a battleship, but it could at least hold its own for a while, and it does have some additional tools that could be used. So we knew that some of these versions had cloaking devices from the Romulans, so that is something else to take into consideration, though we don't ever see this ship again, but this ship would be really good for bringing troop transport. So it's acting as a cruiser and a troop transport at the same time. So this is a pretty valuable ship for the Cardassaion Union. Next on the list is the Dominion battle cruiser. It's going to be considered a heavy cruiser. Has an attack value of 2,635,000, shields 1,625,000, a hull value of 1,040,000, a full defense of 2,665,000. So this ship is the backbone of the Dominion forces. The Vorta actually are aboard these ships, commanding them. They carry the drug, the white, their supply, their troop transport. This is like a all-purpose warship. This is probably the most important ship in the Dominion fleet, because if these things get taken out, then it's a big issue for the Dominion, because these ships is carrying a lot of their supplies and the white for the Dominion soldiers. They're also birthing and growing soldiers in these things. This is the most valuable ship in the Dominion arsenal. All right, and for the Dominion to be a battleship, to be in this category, you're going to just basically have to have really, really powerful offensive capabilities. And that's basically it. All right, so this category is a very strange one. This is the Galor Type 3. I refer to it as Siege Phaser. And the reason I call that is because it is using a Siege Phaser instead of even the higher level Spiral Wave Disruptor Cannon. So it has an attack value of 881,000, shields 1,733,333, hull value of 1,235,000, has a total attack value of 2,968,333. Now, you would think this ship should be in the category for, heavy cruiser. The reason why I'm considering it a battleship is simply because that weapon is able to fire something like 4 times, and at 650,000 terawatts of damage, that's producing 2,600,000 points of damage. So that means in one barrage of this thing attacking enemy targets, it's capable of destroying most Federation frigates and straight up destroying or disabling most battleships even. So that's an enormous amount of firepower. What I speculate this ship is, and I've said this in videos before, is that this is only seen at the very, very end of the Dominion War. I think that they were running low on ships and they were desperate, and so they were putting the biggest and most powerful siege weapons they could on Cardassaion ships just because they needed something to fight the enemy forces, because they were starting to get outnumbered and losing. So this ship was made at the very end of the war, and it's the ship that we see destroying Jem'Hadar fighters in 1 shot. We see it destroy a Bree ship in 2 shots, so we know what those stats are. So this is enormously powerful. So nobody really takes Galors very serious, but remember, this thing's got the shielding of the Galaxy class, it's got more hull value than a Galaxy class, and it's got 2.5 times more firepower than a Galaxy class. Now, the one weakness about this ship is if that forward-facing Spiral Wave Disruptor Cannon is damaged, I don't think that the secondary weapons in this ship are still going to be the same Spiral Wave Disruptors. Nothing fancy. So this ship is basically a one-shot pony. You lose that pony, it's gone. All right, and with the Dominion, if you're going to be a Dreadnought, you need to be literally a flying space station. So in order to be a Dreadnought by the Dominion standards, you are a mobile space station. All right, so the Dominion battleship has an attack value of 5,767,500. Shields are 5,265,000. Hull value of 4,393,827. So that's a full defense of 9,758,827. So there's very few ships that can take on a ship like this. It's insanely powerful. Like I said, the only thing that can take this on is the Sovereign and the Prometheus. I don't even think, honestly, that the I forgot the name of the ship, of the large Klingon battleship, Gowron's main ship, the Nigvar. I don't think that can take this on. I think this would lose to this ship. Now, we know its exact stats and specifications are, but we don't know the exact layout. We know that it's as strong as 3 Galaxy classes. So all I did was time Galaxy stats by 3, and that's how I got this. Now, people have suspected that this thing has siege guns on it. I honestly don't know. We do see it shoot tons and tons of torpedoes at the, I forgot the name of that ship, but it was a Defiant class ship run by a bunch of kids. So this ship is got lots and lots of guns on it. I speculate that it's just got torpedoes and it's got disruptors or pull-around beam weapons just everywhere. And then if you say it has siege guns, I'm completely fine with it. I think that this is a monster ship. It's also doing a lot of the supplies. It's basically a mobile station. It's really what it is. It's a mobile station. You can repair Jem'Hadar fighters in it. It's so massive that you can even fly the Bree cruisers into this thing, which Bree ships are really frigates, but I don't know. So that's basically the Dominion. So the Dominion are completely different than any of the other races. They are completely dependent on armies of destroyers, and then they just have a massive amount of cruisers. They have very little battleships, and then they have very few dreadnoughts. So the Dominion are really, really focusing on numbers and smaller ships, where the Federation is about bigger ships. The Klingons, they have a focus on smaller ships as well, but the Dominion take it to a whole nother level. All right, here's a special little bonus now that we're done with this. I want to show you all the dreadnoughts of the major races. Kind of look at them. So when you look at this, you can see that the Dominion battleship actually has the highest attack potential. And then the Federation has the highest shielding. And it looks like the battleship does have the highest hull value. And then obviously, because of the shielding and stuff, the overall defensive capabilities goes to the Sovereign. If you look at the Nigvar, yes, it does fall quite a bit behind these other ships, but it's not so far behind that it's like laughable. It's like, yeah, it's still a respectable ship, and that ship, remember, is the size of a Galaxy class. These other ships are pretty large. Well, I think the Sovereign is pretty. I don't know what the mass of the Sovereign is. I can't remember. So I might be just making stuff up here. So let's go look at the Sovereign. So the Sovereign's mass is, the Sovereign's smaller than a Galaxy class. That Sovereign thing is a beast. Yeah, it's 3,205,000. Let's look at the Klingon real quick and see what we got here. The Nigvar, 4,310,000. So it's the size of a Galaxy class. So that's pretty interesting. And then let's look at that Dominion ship now that I have this open. I know that thing's super, super large. The Dreadnought is, oh my gosh, a mass of 18,200,000. Oh, that's just insane. That thing is it's like a freaking space station. So I hope you guys like these Dominion videos and stuff. I think what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to do some comparisons of the different ships and just do like these 3 images, with the Dominion, the Klingons, and the Federation, doing a comparison of analysis of the ships and kind of looking at them. That'll be the next video. So we'll look at the destroyers, we'll look at cruisers, we'll look at Dreadnought, we'll do all that. And then I'll include the Romulans of this too. I didn't want to make my own video about the Romulans because we only see 2 Romulan ships during those times, or actually technically 3, and it's not really enough to do analysis. It's kind of a waste of time. So I'm sorry for the Romulans. That's my favorite ship. Everybody knows I love the Warbird, but it just wasn't worth making a video on it by itself. Thank you for watching Trek Wars. If you like this material, please subscribe and make a comment. And with that being said, victory is life.